Good morning, everyone, or good evening, depending on where you're at. I hope everyone is having an awesome day. My name is Lynne White, and I am known as Awesomism Mom. I became a blogger, a mom blogger, lifestyle blogger, about 5 years ago now. It will be 5 years in August, where I decided to start sharing our life as an autism family. I have shared a lot of our life and have thoroughly enjoyed it. I've gotten to know some amazing people and really gotten involved within the autism community. I started it more as a therapeutic type for myself, and it turned into basically a full-time activism. I am the author of a book. I wrote this book about 3 years ago called Mom on an Awesomism Mission, and it's about the inspiring side of autism. My reason for picking the name Awesomism is I'm the mom of 4 children. My youngest, Peyton, is 20 years old, and he is an autistic adult. And I've always told him he doesn't have autism, he has awesomism. He is one of 54 people, and he is special. He is awesome. And we really do live by that principle, that Peyton is awesome. Before I say anything else, I'd really like to thank Autism Connect for the opportunity to speak to you today about what our life is like, especially during social distancing / whatever you want to call it, being stranded in our homes, whatever, and how we are getting through this and how we want to try to help other families. I am by no means an expert on this. I'm just a mom, and I want to share our experiences and what we're doing and hope that this will help some of you. First off, I want to make a disclaimer. I do not profess to be an expert on autism. I profess to be an expert on our life in the autism world. I profess to be an expert on my life with Peyton. And we love to share our life with others because if it can make one life easier, it's all worth it. When Peyton was first diagnosed, I searched everywhere to try to find as much information as I could. And I can't believe how just in the last 16, 17 years, how much more has come forward. We are a household with an autistic adult, and I do feel that our life has been different since he was young, meaning when Peyton was 7, it's different than it is now when he's 20. I want to focus on the positive side to the social distancing. It's very easy to go down the rabbit hole of negativity during this coronavirus because everywhere you go, social media and the news and the radio and everything seems to be on the negative side. It's so easy to get caught up in that. And I want to focus on the positive. This is in no means any way, shape, or form to belittle or to disregard what is really going on. People are dying. People are fighting for their life. Lives have been disrupted. Businesses are going under. And that is the negative side to it. But I want to focus today on the positive side of this. One of the things that I think is positive about this is it truly is a worldwide epidemic. Okay? And from that perspective, why is that positive? Because we can all relate to each other. Whether you're living in the United Arab Emirates or the United States like I am, India, Great Britain, China, Germany, wherever you're living, you're dealing with this right now. And what I think is positive about that is it's the same thing with autism. Autism is worldwide. It's not a pandemic. It's not a negativity, but it is something that we all have a common bond on. And I think we need to focus on that in the autism community, where we can work with each other and help each other worldwide with autism. The other thing that I find to be positive about this is when I was first asked to do this webinar, I was very nervous. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I'm just a mom. I just share my life with people. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a special ed teacher. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just a mom. But I sat down with Peyton and I said, what do you think I should talk about on social distancing? And he said, Mom, I do that all the time. And it hit me. He's right. And I see people on social media saying, oh, I'm so bored. I can't deal with this. I can't go out for coffee with my friends. I can't go out for dinner. I'm not going to the store. I can't go to the mall. I complain because we're not getting out and about. That's kind of Peyton's life in a lot of ways. Peyton feels somewhat social distance all the time. And I think that's true of a lot of autistic adults. Again, I do not speak for all autistic adults by any stretch of the imagination. As we all know, it's a spectrum. It's a wide spectrum. There are so many differences among our kids and adults. But having said that, I think a lot of times when parents come to me and talk to me about what they're dealing with, they say, my child feels very left out. And I see this with Peyton. He has 3 older siblings. 2 are in their 30s and 1 is in his late 20s. They went to college. They got careers. My daughter moved to Germany. She lives in Germany. When she was in Peyton's age, she was literally off backpacking around Israel, Jordan, and Egypt. She was staying out in Petra. She was all over the place. She went and lived in Nepal and worked at an orphanage for 3 months when she was in her early 20s. These are not things that Peyton would feel comfortable to do. And I don't know that I would feel comfortable letting him do. My oldest son traveled all out in the West Coast of America because he grew up in the Southeast and he wanted to see the West Coast. This is not something Peyton will probably ever do. And if he does, it won't be by himself like my son was. So there are times that Peyton steps back and says to me, do you think I'll ever be able to drive a car? Do you think I can ever just go to the mall by myself? I don't know. At this stage, no. He doesn't really want to either because he feels unsure of himself. And at this point, I'm not sure I would let him either. He does do certain things alone. Peyton is high functioning. But at the same time, he is social distance. Why? Because he's not going out to football games with his friends on Friday night. He's not hanging out at the movie theater. He's not going to the mall. He's not going to college. He could go to college with his grades because he graduated high school with honors. But it's not necessarily something that he would feel comfortable doing. I know all kids go through this, and college isn't for everyone, and not every child goes out and hangs out at the mall. My daughter was an extremely social child. My boys were more shy, but they had the opportunities. Like my oldest son, he used to go on snowboarding trips. So Peyton has limitations in what he wants to do, what he can do. And I think during this, whatever we want to call it, COVID, self-isolation, whatever, I think one thing that we can really emphasize to other people outside of the autism community is this. You think you feel alone right now? You think you feel alone in your house with just the same 3 people all the time, or 5 people, or 2 people, or your dogs or your cats or whatever. That's kind of how autistic people feel. And maybe that will help some awareness. People are kind of suffering from FOMO. They're so afraid of missing out on something, even though no one else is really doing anything. Well, that's kind of what Peyton lives every day. Does he do things? Yes. And in some ways, he's actually had more social time during this. Why? Because Our church, who he's very involved in the special needs group at our church, which is absolutely wonderful. He's been doing Zoom meetups. They have their Sunday school class on Zoom, and they have Wednesday where they get together, they wear silly hats, they bring jokes, they talk about things, they laugh about things, and I love it. And I really hope that we continue with these kind of things, because I think this can open the door for so many of us that are working to help raise awareness, acceptance, and activism to get out there and start more meetups, be it through Google Chat, be it through Zoom, through however we want to do these things, and have autistic adults get more social. Which brings me to some of the ideas and some of the things I want to share, some of the things that we have been doing during this time of social distancing, as well as just in general. Peyton's stepdad and I have been very adamant on having him get involved in things that he loves, that he feels very comfortable with. He loves doing stop motion videos. He has for years. He has an iPad and he does the stop motion videos. Does a really good job at them. And so we've always encouraged him to do stop motion videos. Peyton loves sports. Our whole house does. We are all big sports fans, especially football and hockey, although Peyton's not as much into hockey. But we've encouraged him to really be involved, loving sports. Right now, there's no sports on TV, really, other than reruns. Why am I bringing that up? Because one of the things that we have always found is that if Peyton pursues things that he's really interested in, when he does go to events or he is talking to other kids, like when he's gone to events at the library or other things, he can converse with a lot of other kids that maybe aren't necessarily special needs about stop motion videos, about movies. He's always been a movie-holic, about sports. And I think one of the things that is great during this downtime, if you want to call it, while we're all in our houses, is we can get involved with our children, well, adults with autism, and find out what they're really interested in and do some of these things with them, work with them, talk about the sports, teach them more life skills. Like Peyton and I have been doing, Peyton loves to cook and bake. He's actually a better cook than I am. I have to admit that. And Peyton will make up his own recipes. And this has been a great time for him to practice his cooking skills. And what's great about it is he's had to learn to cook without everything available because we can't get everything from the grocery stores. So it's teaching him creativity. And I think with everything that's going on online right now for free recipes, we have all these great chefs like Robert Irvine on there helping people learn how to cook better, and Peyton's been watching reruns of Restaurant Impossible and things like that. Our kids can sit and learn, and we're present. We're in their lives. We get so caught up in our own lives sometimes because we have to. And I think this is a great time to take that breath, sit down with our kids, and really find out what they're interested in and work together. I will tell you, Peyton has been really cooking and baking, and we've been thinking outside the box. It's been a lot easier to think outside the box because we have more time. And, you know, I think using things like there's an aquarium learning series. Peyton has always loved aquariums. This is one of his favorite things. He used to have a huge aquarium with a lot of fish. And he's taking that learning series on. I think there's so many things available. I know there's so many things available for kids right now and adults that they can expand what their interests are. And when this is done, they will have even a bigger view of life. Here's a few things that we've been doing. One of the things that Peyton loves to do is puzzles. And so I know a lot of people are doing puzzles. Here's one of them that Peyton has. It's a 1,000-piece puzzle, and it's a great puzzle to do. And you know what? You know what's great about that too? You can do it as a family. You can sit down and learn, and it teaches them to figure out how to find the puzzle pieces and stuff. It's a great learning, teaches patience, it teaches acceptance, because sometimes it's not, you can't do some of these things, but you can learn to do them. And it's teamwork a lot of times, because you have to try to find these pieces, and it's easier sometimes doing them together. Another thing that we really love is we were asked a couple of months ago to look at a company called Simply Kids. Okay. I'm not here to promote this company, but I'm telling you, their products are amazing. You get these like gel bags, okay, and you can mix them together with water. You can do them in a sink, in a tub, in a bowl. And you know what? They're awesome. Peyton makes stress balls out of them. He makes all kinds of creative things, and he can even use them to make things for a stop motion video. They're fun for the whole family. I have GAD, general anxiety disorder. So when I get extremely stressed, I like to have a stress ball. This stuff is so much fun to play in. It cleans up so easy, and it is just great. And it's for all ages. It really is. I love it just as much as I'm sure someone 5 years old would. So it's a great thing for all ages. Peyton loves it. You can seal it in a bowl and use it again and again and again. It's really awesome. The other thing that Peyton loves is to color. And so we have this, he has a coloring book, and there's a lot of places, sorry, sometimes I feel like I'm going the opposite direction. There are some awesome coloring pages free online right now. Again, sit down, color, paint rocks, paint pieces of wood. Creativity. Use that creativity. Now is the time, because you know what? So often we're so busy running to the store, making sure that we're getting done with everything, you know, that we've got all our errands run. We have to take care of shuffling our other kids back and forth to sports and after school and getting out to work in the morning and coming home exhausted. These are great things. We're sitting here. It's not to say you're not working during the day, but you can be present in the same room with your child while they're coloring, doing some creative activities. Now, here's my favorite, and this is a very big thing to me. I have a very strong passion for this, called Flipboard. This is what the symbol looks like on your phone, your app, okay? We have been Flipboardaholics for quite a few years. Flipboard to me is one of the greatest things out there. If you're not familiar with it, I suggest you look at it. It is a curated magazine. You curate your own magazines, or you can use them as a reader. I used Flipboard not only for myself, but for Peyton when he was homeschooled. And it really helped him a lot. And one of the things that I think is great about Flipboard for kids right now and adults is they can make their own magazines about how they're feeling, articles that they find that maybe help them work through a situation. Like Peyton has one about anxiety, stress and anxiety. He flips articles into it that he reads. He puts recommendations for different music channels. He puts pictures in there. And you can even make these magazines private, invite 10 friends, and have everyone share how they're feeling. You can put videos in it. You can write in it. You can put a blog in it. You can put articles in it. It is amazing. And to me, it is so good during this self-isolation time, because it allows them to really look at articles as well as different things that they find that they're interested in. Like Peyton has one on the ocean, loves the ocean, loves aquariums, loves the ocean. He has a magazine on that. So while he's sitting and looking through things, he puts it into that magazine. And then later, when he may be stressed or just having a bad day or just wants to relook at something, he's got this magazine. He can go back through it and he can see things that he maybe forgot that he even saved 2 weeks earlier, 3 months earlier, 2 years earlier. And that's what I find so great about Flipboard, is it is such an awesome curation to be able to teach and learn at the same time. Parents can work on magazines together. And I know that there's been times when Peyton has put things into his magazines, like his anxiety magazine, and I'll look at it and I'll think, I wonder if that's something that's really bothering him right now. And it affords me the opportunity to go and discuss with him. Because if he finds an article about how he's stressed about people dying because they had asthma, because his oldest brother suffers from asthma, I can then see that this may be something he doesn't come and discuss with me, but he's flipped this magazine, he's flipped this article into a magazine, and so it's clearly in his mind. And I find that to be so helpful because he doesn't always want to come and talk to me about things. And just as I don't want to always talk to everybody about what I'm concerned with. And I think this is a real opportunity. And I think it's great too if other kids connect with each other through this and form magazines, form groups. I mean, there's things like Google Hangout, there's Facebook groups, there's all kinds of things out there. There's more out there than we can possibly deal with. I get all that. But one of the reasons why I love Flipboard so much is because I feel very safe with Peyton on it. Peyton is on Instagram and Peyton is on Twitter. We've had a few issues, but nothing all that major, and I've been able to handle them. And so I know not all parents want to allow their children onto Twitter and Instagram, but I will say that you can make your child's account or have their account private so that only people that they allow to follow them do, and then they can have discussions with them. And this is a good way for them to connect with other kids. And that's part of why I love Flipboard so much, because Flipboard isn't just reliant on everybody talking to each other or venting to each other. It's sharing, it's pictures, it's videos. And I know a lot of these kids love to go on YouTube. And they can do a little YouTube and put it on there. They can write something about how they're feeling that day and connect with each other. And you can take your Flipboard magazine and you can put it into a different Flipboard magazine. You can use Flipboard just as a curation. So, like, for example, if you have a child that absolutely loves fish, like Peyton, you can go on Flipboard. You can find a lot of articles and magazines about fish. This is a great thing for your child to be sitting and looking through. They can read on things, they can watch videos, they can learn from it. There's so much that Flipboard offers. And that's why I'm such a big Flipboard ambassador, because I do feel that it is a fantastic app for adults with autism. And it has been really good for us during this coronavirus. I started a Flipboard magazine about the positive stories and things to do during it. And I just feel so much better when I look through that magazine. I've shared it with other people because there are so many good things going on out there right now. We see the goodness in people. You know, we see people out there like Robert Irvine and Mark Slemonis and these kind of people out there trying so hard every day to help small businesses, which brings me to another idea. You have a child who really, really wants to, it's very creative. Let's say your child is really good at making bracelets or necklaces or keychains or whatever they want to do. Start a small business with them. Even if they're only selling it to their family and neighbors. It teaches them something outside of themselves, something you can do together, and it allows them to feel like they're really contributing to themselves and for themselves. And now is the time to do this. And I think the more that we take our autistic adults and have them relate to other kids, adults their age. I keep saying kids because I'm almost 60 years old. So anybody 30 and under, 40 and under is a kid to me. And teach them. Like, I know, speaking from myself, like I said, I have to speak from my own experiences. Peyton has 3 older siblings. And one of the things that makes Peyton really feel like he fits in with his siblings more, or other kids that are in their 30s and 20s, is because he builds websites for companies. He writes blogs. He has his own website. And he loves to tinker on that website. He loves to do his social media. He loves to take pictures and put things out there. Like yesterday, he made a really pretty picture for Easter and wrote Happy Easter on it, put it out onto Instagram. This is something he relates to his siblings with, because his siblings are on social media. Again, I realize not every child wants to be on there, and not every parent wants their child on there. But if you do, and you do want even it to be private, these are ways to connect with other adults with special needs, or even family members. That's another thing I love about Flipboard. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be just a big advertisement for Flipboard. But you can set up a magazine. Let's say you have a grandparent who lives 1,000 miles away, okay? They don't get to see their grandchild. Yes, we can do, FaceTime and like this, we can talk and everything. We have all that. Put a Flipboard magazine together. Have the grandparent put pictures of their day in there. Your child put pictures of their day in there. Have them write to each other. Have them, if they found something that they read that they thought was really awesome that day, an article they read, put it in that magazine. Have the 2 of them have it private, be between the grandparents and the grandchildren, and there's a connectivity. And this is something that also teaches them how to express themselves better. There are many times that Peyton will express himself, even though he is very verbal and his reading level is very high, that he loves just to use a Flipboard to express himself. And I think, again, I go back to the positivity of this social distancing. So many people are learning to use social media and emailing and texting and calling people, rather than, because we're not running into each other at the grocery store. We're not hanging out at getting a drink, or going out and having donuts and coffee, or sitting at the coffee shop all day, or sitting at work. I mean, I had someone say to me the other day, I can't believe how lonely I feel because I don't have my coworkers to talk to during the day. I work from home, so I don't have coworkers to talk to. I do talk a lot of times on the phone. This social distancing is kind of common for me. I've worked from home for most of my career. And because I homeschooled all 4 of my children. So my oldest son is almost 35 years old. So I was a long-term homeschooler, a long-term work from home mom. But having said that, if I really needed to go out and talk to somebody, or I needed that adult conversation, I could get my car, I could go work from the local Starbucks or grocery, Dunkin' Donuts, or anywhere else. Right now, we can't. And I think this, again, I can't say this enough. We need to reiterate to people during this time, social distancing. If you think it's difficult for you doing this for 30 days, imagine doing it for 30, 60, 90 years. Even a lot of times when autistic adults work, and I have parents say this to me, their child comes home and their coworkers are going out for pizza, they're not invited, or they don't feel like they fit in, so they don't go. And that's heartbreaking. And I think this time, as much as no one wants to be doing this voluntarily, and trust me, not everyone is doing it, even though they're supposed to be, hashtag stay home, we need to remind people that while they're going crazy during this 30, 40, 60, 90 days, whatever it is that we're stuck in the house, this is kind of their life all the time. And things will change for us. And I think those of us who are parents and teachers and activists, therapists, we need to emphasize to people, it's not just awareness. It's not just knowing what autism is or how these kids are, but acceptance and understanding and relatability. My dad always taught me two best pieces of advice my father taught me, and he said it over and over and over to me. Know what you don't know, because when you know what you don't know, you surround yourself with people that know what you don't know, and you become a team member, become a team player. You build a team around you. And the second most wonderful piece of advice, and I always taught my kids this, find commonality in everyone you meet. And I've tried very hard with my blog, and when I do webinars like this or when I speak to people, to find that commonality. And I think in the autism community, if we teach others the commonality that they have with autistic adults, you will see more acceptance, not just awareness. Because you can be aware of something and not accept it. And we tend so much nowadays to find what we disagree with people on instead of what we agree with people on. And I just feel so sad that disagreement is more front and center than agreement. And I know many times Peyton will come to me and say, why can't people just be nice? Why are people mean? And I try to explain to them, a lot of times it's people's own insecurities, and people like to deflect. You know, one of the things that we're all guilty of, I've done it, we all do it. Instead of saying, I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings, or I'm sorry that you feel that I was talking to you that way, or that, we say, that's on you. You're deflecting yourself. You're just promoting your own insecurities. And I think if we take that rhetoric down and we say, I apologize, I didn't mean to come off that way, we're taking a step also towards helping those who don't always say exactly how they feel, such as autistic adults. And we open that understanding into, I didn't mean it that way. And I think these are the kind of lessons that while we're at home right now and our patience is low and our stress is high, that we can reflect on and say, you know, I don't really like the way some of the people are talking to me. I didn't mean it that way, which is, you know, social media in general, because you can't always tell by a text, even to your own spouse or your kids or whatever. I mean, there's been times I've answered my husband when he's texted me something and I sound like I'm mad when I'm not. And I think we can get so many life lessons out of this 30 days of self-isolation and think, ooh, I don't like the way this feels. I don't like the way I feel. I don't like feeling like I don't have friends right now. And help bring that out into the autism acceptance. Because again, it's not just about awareness. I think we're all aware that autism and anxiety are out there in the world. What we have to bring more is acceptance. And that's why I constantly say I am on a mission to turn autism into awesomism. Because the more people accept it and the more we are our own little activists, doesn't mean everyone has to go out and, write blogs and write books and talk about it and sit on the phone all day calling places and, having people call you and say, how do I deal with this? It may just be you and your neighbor. It may just be you and your parents. Sometimes grandparents don't quite understand how to deal with their autistic child. I see parents of autistic adults on social media say, I can't believe my parents do not understand that my child A, B, and C. And sometimes just that one person. I used to do grassroots in politics, and I used to teach people, every person that you connect with and get to understand your view, it's really 10 people, because they have their own circle of friends and family and co-workers and people that they meet at Little League and every other thing. And that's the way we should take the approach with autism. Every one of us speaking out there, if we each convert someone and they convert and they convert, before you know it, autism acceptance and autism activism and autism awareness will be so much greater. And this time of self-isolation is such a great time for all of us to come together. So I love this 30 days, April has 30 days. April, June, and November, 30 days of webinars. It's fantastic. We're learning so many things. We're learning all the different sides of it. I mean, I was watching one of the girls, she's an autistic adult. Her webinar was wonderful, was so beautiful, and it taught me so much. I love reading blogs by autistic adults because I have GAD, general anxiety disorder, but I can't always relate to some of the other feelings. And again, we all have our own feelings and we're all entitled to our own feelings. We're all entitled to our own opinions on how to deal with these things. But the more that we come together and the more that we express this and the more unified front that we have, instead of arguing over, well, your child this. I had someone say to me about a month ago, how did you tell Peyton that he couldn't go to college? I said, I didn't, because Peyton could go to college. He graduated from high school with honors. Peyton takes online classes. Peyton didn't want to go away. I remember when Peyton was going to turn 18, and I said, aren't you excited? You're going to be an adult now. Isn't this exciting to you? And he started to cry. And I said, well, what's wrong? He said, I don't want to have to move out. I said, you don't have to move out. So all my siblings did. I said, honey, you can stay here as long as you want. You're not told to leave. And I didn't realize that this had been bothering him for a while. So we sat down and we had a long talk about it. And I think that this, again, is a great time while we're all kind of in the house and we can connect with each other. We can discuss topics. I hate to keep going back to Flipboard, but that's what's awesome about Flipboard. You can do a magazine about how you're feeling. You remember when our kids were young and they The therapist would teach them to have the stickers, how they were feeling today. I had to put poster board all over my house because Peyton used to run around and put stickers everywhere. So I'd say to him, on the poster board, so that I wasn't tearing off the paint off the wall. And we had the stickers. You can do that with Flipboard. Do it now while everybody's stressed. Do a Flipboard magazine, how we're feeling today. Put articles in there about I'm stressed today, I'm angry today, I'm frustrated today, I feel like I'm not getting anything done today. So many things that we can be doing during this time of self-isolation that when we come out the other side, and we will be better people for it. And our children, our autistic adult children, will have learned and connected with us and feel so much better. Because you know what? The other thing is, the more that we stress during this time and the more negative we portray, the more it is negative to them. I know with Peyton that if I'm stressed and I'm angry and I'm frustrated, he feels it. He connects those emotions to me. And that's not fair to him. So I need and try very hard to connect those away from him to myself and work through them. I don't always do a good job by any means. But I think too that we can learn a lot ourselves during this time from our autistic children. Because how they deal with the stresses of life is a great lesson for us. And I think there's so many things, positive things that can come out of this. I refuse to go down the rabbit hole of negativity. It has been so easy to do during this time. But I think if we get up in the morning and we find that connectivity with our child, with our community, I don't just mean the community in which we live. I don't just mean the state or the province or whatever it is in your country. I mean our autism community. We need to connect more together because you know what? You can take 20 autism parents, 20 autistic 21-year-olds, and have 21 different stories. And you know what? Do you know how magical that is? To go out into the communities that need to know more about how to deal with autistic adults. That's one of the things I love about our church so much. We go to the United Methodist Church of the Woodlands, and they have a special needs adult program there. And one of the things that they do when they have their prom, well, now that they're older, they do a dance, a spring dance. It was canceled this year, but a spring dance. And they pair up a kid, boy and girl, depending, from the local high school. And they become their buddy for 3.5 hours while they have this dance in the social time. And it teaches them because they get trained, they get taught how to deal with it. And you see kids when you go that are wearing covers because they don't like the noise. You see some where they have to walk out and stand in the hallway. So many different, all sizes of the spectrum. And these kids are learning how to open up to them and have them open up to them. Peyton has been connected with 3 of the most wonderful young men through this. And it really helped him and he helped them. And I think this is part of what we need to do within our community. Parents, rally together. Therapists, work with us parents. Parents, work with us as parent. Work with the therapist. My niece is a therapist. She's got a heart bigger than the universe for this. She's got a very sweet, loving nature. We need to work together. We may not always agree. We may not always see eye to eye on how we should deal with things. the more we connect with each other and the more that we open our hearts and our minds to this, the more we find commonality. The more commonality leads to greater understanding, greater acceptance, greater awareness, and even greater activism. Because the stronger the activist is, the more they're representing a wide, diverse crowd. If you're only out there beating the one drum for your own voice, you may not relate to a lot of people. And that's why I love webinars like this. That's why I was so honored to be on this. When I looked at the list, I was like, oh, I can't do this. I don't have anything compared to what these people have. But I love this. And I hope I'm helping some people. I'm just talking from my heart. I have this saying, when I write my blog, I want you to feel like you're having a cup of coffee with me. Like we're sitting across the table and I'm just chatting with you like I'm your neighbor, because I am a chatterbox. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a big chatterbox. I love to talk. And I always feel like I don't have a lot to say. I mean, I have a lot to say. I just don't necessarily have a lot that I feel people learn from. But I hope I am helping today. And I hope I'm giving you some ideas. And I want to share this mug with you. Someone made this for me. I can't do it. See, turning autism into awesomism. I love that. Say that all the time, because let's take the negatives, the rabbit hole of negative, and turn it into a spring of positive. You know, it's easy to be negative. It's easy to look at it. And again, some parents have a really difficult time. Their children are completely nonverbal and they're very difficult to deal with. But you know what? There are positives in everything. I want to share a little story. There's a man that I follow on Twitter. I see him as such a fantastic father. His son is nonverbal. His son is very much into a routine. It's very difficult for his son during this time. And his son loves to go to the store. And his dad built a store, made a store in his house. I can't say without tearing up. And that touched me so much. And that son, he took pictures, and that son was standing there like he was in the store. And rather than tell his son, no, we can't do that, he found a way to make his son not go out of his routine. Yes, he didn't get in the car, he didn't go to a store, but he made a store in the house. And that's what we all need to do. We maybe can't do everything. Some people don't have the time to write a blog or go talk or sit on social media. That doesn't mean we can't be examples. You know, they always say, learn from our works, not from our words. And that's what I think as autism caring, meaning therapists and teachers and parents and grandparents and siblings and aunts and uncles and everyone else who is embracing the autism community. We need to show people by example. Let's talk about the positives. There is so much out there. And while social distancing can be difficult, such as not being in your routine or not being able to actually go out there, let's use the positive. Let's find other ways to connect with each other. As I said, if you don't want your child on social media, I understand that, but you can make it private. Make a private Facebook group. Make a private Flipboard magazine with other ones. Do Google Chat. As parents, set up a Zoom time with fellow autism parents. Have your child come in and talk with other children. There's a lot. Think outside the box. Use your imagination. While we're not stuck in our routines of getting up, going to work, doing what we have to do, let's find ways. Just like we're all finding ways to survive each day, by just sitting in our house. You know, all these parents, I had parents come to me, oh my gosh, you were a 25-year homeschooler. How did you do it? Can you help me? Can you help me? I've always sent my kids to school. I've got to teach them online. They're learning to adjust. Teachers are learning to adjust. Students are learning to adjust. Parents are learning to adjust, working from home, having their kids home, doing everything. Same thing here. Let's learn how to take this forward. Let's take this negative time of social isolation and make it a positive, because you take those lemonades and you turn them into those lemons and turn them into lemonade. I can't even say it right. Because the more positive we are, the more people are going to want to hear us too. Because the more we dwell on the negatives, people don't want to just sit and listen to us, woe is me. They want to come in and say, that's awesome. I think that's great that you do that. And trust me, I know not every day is fun. We have plenty of hard times. But that doesn't mean that our life has to be hard. When I was young, the one thing that my dad would always do to me if I'd go and complain to him is he would just sit there and stare at me when I was ranting and raving. And I'd say, weren't you going to say something? I'd say no. And I would get mad. And as would go on, like we did this probably 100 times when I was growing up. And I said, why not? It's like, because all you want to do is complain. So I'm just sitting here listening to it. I said, well, are you going to answer me? Are you going to tell me what to do? Give me some advice? Say no, because you really don't want that. You just want to complain. Because if you really wanted advice and you really wanted to know how to fix this, you'd come to me with 3 or 4 solutions so we could discuss those solutions. Every time I'd be like, how come I didn't think of that before I came in here? Because I'd get my little dander up and I'd be so on my, high horse about how mad I was. And I think back at that now as an adult, and I think, I wish I had lived more of my life like that. And I think as an autism activist, this is something that I think we, and I know I especially, need to put more into practice than just talk about. Let's try to find that awesomism in every single situation. It's not always going to be easy, and it's not always going to be there. This 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, let's turn it into something positive. And let's use it for our benefit. Because the more positive we are, the more things get changed. The old saying, you attract more bees with honey. I can't even say it. Okay, that's true. 2 final things. I got this from Hallmark the other day, and I thought it was so beautiful. Here for you, here for everything. That's how I feel for all of you. Go to my website, send me an email, reach out to me on social media. I'm here. I'm here to talk to. I'm here to vent to. I love to collaborate with people. I love to do things together. One final thing, this is from me and Peyton. Lots and lots of awesomism love from us. Blue heart. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope I gave you a few ideas. Just checking to make sure that there were no questions that I needed to answer. Have an awesome day. Thanks for joining.